January 1st, 2021, which has only been about, at the time of the recording that I'm doing this, 2 weeks, literally. In Europe, and this includes the UK, because they have PSD2 in Europe, in the UK they have open banking. This is specific to the financial sector, but this hits and impacts anyone who buys anything online or does online transactions that have to deal with any type of money. So it really impacts and has an effect on everyone. That's why you should just know what it is, how it affects you, and how it affects your business, you know? Because at the end of the day, this is about doing business to business, B2B, right? So let's talk about that whole strong customer authentication. This is a part of PSD2. And it's like, okay, look, you have to make sure that the customer who is trying to purchase something on your website, send payment from one account to another, is actually the person that they say they are. So basically, you have to be able to say, if this person comes on your site, and when they encounter your site, they have to be able to, one, provide a password or some type of authorization saying who they are. They have to provide some type of biometric so we know that that's an actual human, so a fingerprint, facial recognition, voice recognition, something like that. And then lastly, they have to be able to have access to that device. Like that has to be device on record that they have been using to interact with your application or to interact and do business with their bank. So I'm breaking SCA down for you in like real world talk so that it's easier to understand, because as of January 1st, 2021, this has become law throughout EU except for France and UK, because you know they always got to feel special. The French will apply this and make this required law September 2021, and I believe the UK has until like April of 2021 to make it law for them. But essentially, most organizations, if not all, who are doing business with the big banks who have global business are already adhering to this and are trying to, right? So SCA is a part of PSD2. PSD2 is a directive that is under the authority of the European Banking Authority. You don't know what the European Banking Authority is? Google it. All the central banks have to adhere to this and follow the law because this is law. If you're doing business in Europe, whether you are in the US or you are in Africa, any nation in Africa, or you are in Asia, you still have to adhere to the laws of Europe to let money flow back and forth, to take these payments, to do things like that. So that's why this is important, because what I never really see is that conversation between how are these African nations, business within African nations, private business within African nations, able to successfully do business with organizations in Europe. This conversation seems to be so low-key and only had between people within the industry. So you'll hear about this when you go to conferences, you'll hear about this when you're interacting with clients who are in this industry, but you're not hearing about it being talked about more openly so that developers who are working on the APIs that allow for these processes to actually take place, understand what they're building. I can't tell you how many developers I've met in Europe, specifically in Germany and in Holland, and the UK, as well as developers I've met here in Ghana and Nigeria who have no idea what it is they're really building. They know the product that they're working on, and typically is a subsection of the product that they're working on, because developer teams are split into different groups, right? And so this is based on agile development and things like that. So they're split into different groups, all working to create one product, but each group has a different portion of that product to create, and then they will bring that product together, test it, see how it works, roll it out, and then make changes to it, different iterations of it to improve it for the customer. And or when I say customer, that can be like a bank. When I say customer, that could be like a government agency, right? Like a ministry. So keep that in mind. It is so essential that developers understand what they're building and why they're building it, because it helps them to really take a vested interest in what they're doing. So you might say, oh my gosh, she's all over the place. Why are you talking about, this, that, and the other? I'm talking about it because quite frankly, it all comes together. It's all part of the same output. So now when you're doing business in Europe, you have to meet that SCA requirement. SCA, remember, is strong customer authentication. Google it. Tons of information out there. What comes with that is, in order for you to meet that requirement, how a fintech, and when I say fintech, that means any institution that's working in financial services that provides the ability to allow a bank to interact with its customers. So most of us, if not all of us, are used to doing mobile banking, right? We have the app on our phone, we're able to check our accounts, we're able to transfer money to accounts, we're able to make payments, we're able to check our credit card balance, make a payment on our credit card, all these different things. Well, as an American, this has been done for years. As some of you from Western Europe, years. But then you have a place like Germany where mobile banking, although it's been around, hasn't really been adopted in the same way it has in other countries. So now, let's say, I won't say now, I say as of 2018, 2017, the adoption rate started to increase because you had challenger banks come on the scene. So you have challenger banks, which are like these fully online banks like N26 come on the scene and say, this is dumb. Why do we have to go to a branch every time we want to do something as simple as just increase our withdrawal limit from the ATM machine, right? So challenger banks came on the scene and folks under 30 were mad dashing. So, the banks were like, what is happening? Normally, these kids will bank with the same bank as their parents. Now we're seeing something different happening. Not only that, we're seeing these challenger banks wanting to be real banks and compete with us globally, if not nationally, with the businesses that we have. Hence, fintechs. So then you have other organizations that say, look, we are a tech company, but we realize that your mobile app doesn't allow customers to be able to see the transactions they've done for the past year and their account balances through the app. Can we help you do that? We have an API, application programming interface, that will allow us to connect your clients to your app so they can see all the transactions they've done over the year, month by month. Very simple, right? Where it becomes more complicated is when you say, we're a fintech and we have created an API that allows you to accept payments from your banking clients to a utility company that they pay to monthly for their gas bill or their electric bill or their water bill. We have an API that can do that for you. So the banks are traditional, right? Banks are totally traditional. They like to just go old school. They be like kicking it like real hard in the Stone Ages. Them academics. So, they're like, it's just, oh my God, change, we're terrified. But then at the end of the day, it's like, okay, one or two people said, let's give this a go and see what happens. And the customers snap to it, love it, want more. Now the regulatory bodies have to say, wait a minute, hold up, slow your roll. You're talking about pulling data from customers and sharing it with a third party. That third party has to make sure that the customer information that you are sharing doesn't get out into the public domain or is vulnerable to some form of attack by bad actors. Hence PSD2.